Adaeze and the Wicked Aunty. Chief Obinna was a man whose name commanded respect across town. His wealth was like the rising sun; everywhere you turned, you could see its light. He owned several cars that filled his wide compound, houses in different cities, and a huge manufacturing company that gave jobs to many families. But for all his riches, Chief Obinna had only one child, his beloved daughter, Adaeze. From the day she was born, Adaeze was the joy of his household. He and his wife, Madam Ifeoma, gave her the best life. She attended the finest school in town, wore beautiful clothes, and had every comfort a child could dream of. But more than riches, Adaeze was raised with discipline. She was taught to greet elders with respect, to share her food with others, and to remember that wealth is nothing without kindness. In the family also lived Chief Obinna's younger sister, Aunty Urena. Outwardly, she acted loving, always smiling, hugging Adaeze, and pretending to be the caring auntie. But inside her heart was a burning envy. She wished all of her brother's wealth would one day be hers. Then one fateful day, tragedy struck. Chief Obinna and his wife were traveling for a business meeting when the news came like thunder. Their car had been involved in a terrible accident. Both of them died instantly. The entire town mourned. Men wept openly. Women rolled on the ground in sorrow. For Adaeze, the world went dark. She was only a young girl, and in one day, she lost both her parents. It was then that Aunty Urena made her move. She quickly stepped in, claiming she would take care of Adaeze. But what followed was cruelty disguised as guardianship. Adaeze was removed from her private school and sent to a struggling public school where her classmates mocked her. The girl who once had drivers and nannies was now forced to hawk bread after school, walking under the hot sun with a tray balanced on her head. Meanwhile, Aunty Urena's own children lived like royalty. They attended the best schools, ate the finest meals, and boasted in the village about their mother's wealth. At night, Adaeze cried silently, wondering if life would ever be kind again. But destiny has its own ways. One evening, while selling bread at the motor park, Adaeze met a man who stared at her in shock. "Adaeze, is that really you?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Yes, sir," she answered shyly, lowering her eyes. The man looked at her with pity. "I am your father's friend. I dined in your house many times. How did you end up like this?" Tears rolled down Adaeze's cheeks as she told him everything. The man clenched his fist in anger. "This is wickedness. Your father was a good man, and I will not watch his child suffer." That very week, arrangements were made, and Adaeze was flown abroad. Her new life was nothing like the suffering she had endured. She went back to school, studied hard, and soon began to shine brightly. Back home, Aunty Urena's greed was catching up with her. In her thirst for more wealth, she had taken huge loans from different banks to fund her endless parties, jewelry, and new cars. At first, she enjoyed herself. But soon, the debts piled up. The banks came knocking. One by one, all the properties were seized. The once powerful auntie who strutted proudly now became homeless. She and her children roamed the village, begging for food. Years later, during Christmas, Adaeze returned home. She was no longer the girl who hawked bread; she had grown into a beautiful, confident woman, dressed with elegance and driving her own car. As she walked through the market, her eyes caught a familiar figure. Sitting on the bare ground, dirty and thin, was Aunty Urena. Her children sat beside her, looking hungry and broken. Adaeze's heart tightened. For a moment, memories of her pain flashed before her, the insults, the hawking, the tears. She had every reason to walk away. But when Aunty Urena raised her eyes, filled with shame and tears, Adaeze's heart melted. "My daughter," the auntie whispered, her voice breaking, "forgive me. I was blinded by greed. I ruined myself. Please, have mercy." Silence fell around them as people watched. Then, slowly, Adaeze knelt down beside her auntie. She held her trembling hands and said softly, "Auntie, you took everything from me, but you could not take away my heart. My father taught me to forgive. I forgive you." She opened her bag and handed her auntie a huge sum of money. "Take this. Use it to rebuild your life and care for your children. Let this pain be a lesson." Auntie Urena wept uncontrollably. The villagers, who had gathered around, also wiped their eyes. They whispered among themselves, "Truly, goodness will always outlive wickedness. Greed destroys, but forgiveness heals." Moral lesson: greed and wickedness may prosper for a while, but they always lead to destruction. No matter how much life takes from you, never lose your good heart. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength that lifts you higher than revenge ever could.